This is the worked example using a for loop as a sentinel loop. The sub-goal labels to evaluate a loop are 1. Diagram which statements go together. 2. Determine the start condition. 3. Determine the termination condition. 4. Trace the loop. For every iteration of the loop, write down the values that change during that loop. Here's the problem statement of the problem that we want to solve. Given the following code, what is the output if the user enters the values 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, -1? Subgoal 1 is to diagram which statements go together. In this case of the for loop, there are curly braces, so it's easy to see which statements go with the for loop. Subgoal 2 is to determine the start condition. In this case, we look at the first expression of the for loop, and we see that m is equal to 0. That is one of the conditions to start with. Another control variable is score, and we can see that score is read in the first value entered by the user, or 10. So m begins with 0 and score begins with 10. Good scores is also initialized to 0. Subgoal number 3 is to determine the termination condition. In this case, the loop will terminate when we reach the test and m is greater than or equal to 5 or score is less than 0. If either of those two things occur when we reach the for loop test, the loop will then terminate. Subgoal 4 is to trace through the values of the loop. In this case, we want to trace through the values every time through the loop. We begin when m is 0, score is 10, and good scores is 0. In looking at the condition, m, which is 0, is less than 5, and score, which is 10, is greater than or equal to 0, so we go into the loop. The value of score, 10, is not greater than or equal to 20, so we now read in the next value from the user, which is 15. m gets incremented to 1. 1, the value of m, is less than 5, and the value of score, 15, is greater than 0, so we go into the loop. 15 is not greater than 20, so we read in the next value from the user, which is 20, and m is incremented to 2. The value of m2 is less than 5, and the value of score, 20, is greater than 0, so we go into the loop. The value of score, 20, is greater than or equal to 20, so the variable good scores is incremented to 1. We now read in the next value from the user, which is 25, and m is incremented to 3. 3 is less than 5, and the value of score, 25, is greater than 0, so we go into the loop. 25 is greater than 20, so good scores is incremented to 2. And we read in the next value from the user, which is 30. m is incremented to 4. The value of m4 is less than 5, and the value of score, 30, is greater than or equal to 0, so we will go through the loop again. 30 is greater than or equal to 20, so good score is incremented to 3. We now read in the next value from the user, which is 35, and m is incremented to 5. The value of m5 is not less than 5, so we now have false, and the value of score is greater than 0, but false in anything is false, so the loop terminates. At this point, we print out the number of good scores, which is 3. That is the end of this worked example.